Eden, the new Ron Howard film. They weren't showing us like any images from this, just an image of Ron Howard in like the marsh or something like that.
Which I thought was a bad pick.
But this is a new movie that has a lot of hype around it, particularly because it's got Ana de Armas and Sydney Sweeney and Vanessa Kirby. Just a plethora of internet girlfriends, along with Jude Law, Daniel Bruhl, and Toby Wallace. What did you guys think about this one?
I think we kind of felt the same, but maybe through different points of the movie, that it was like pretty decent, but it like starts fumbling certain areas where it's trying to get deeper into characters. So it feels like a lot of built momentum that then just gets like squandered for a bit. And it like, it does such a solid job with the setup that then by the time it gets interesting again, it just feels like too much time has kind of passed in an interim area. We had a very hectic screening, but it's a lot. I also think that Sydney Sweeney is kind of weak in this. I just don't think this is, I don't know. She's putting on an accent that she does not have. And it takes a while for my brain to like filter it.
I've never thought of Sydney Sweeney as somebody who should be doing a lot of accent work in movies, but maybe she'll prove me wrong at some point.
She nails the pregnant scream, though. No one can do the pregnant scream like Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah, the pregnant, like, there's some weird shit happening when you're giving birth scream. Like, that's all she can, not all, but that's like one of the things she really excels at.
Yeah, that's her corner.
Oddly enough, though, I do think her having the accent saves her from some of the issue. We kind of mentioned it a little bit with Rachel Sennett, who was fantastic in Saturday Night, but she does have such a Gen Z voice, I think Caitlin put it as, that it's just this, and Sydney kind of has her own version of the Gen Z voice. Sydney Sweeney has a very interesting tenor to her voice, like the way she talks almost, it's weird. I feel like her vocal cords sound like there's like a hood over them, and it's like a little nasally, but not too nasally. It's just a little thing that just sounds very, like, it fits so well in Euphoria. And then when you start putting her in other things, it can feel awkward depending on what is required of the role. So I almost feel like her doing the accent got her out of sounding like she wouldn't have belonged in the time period at all. But when she starts talking, she's like the first person with like not lyrics, Jesus, words with lines. And I was like, whoa, oh no. Yeah. But it's fine. It wasn't like so distracting through the movie. It was consistent. Like it sounded the same throughout the whole thing. But she ends up feeling a little bit weak for how important her character is to the movie. I mean, I guess that's kind of the point, is someone who's very meek, kind of having to learn to stand up for herself a little bit more. It's a very hectic movie, basically, based on the real life story of a bunch of people going to the Galapagos Islands, based on the writings of Jude Law's character. I think Dr. Ritter is his last name, Dr. Ritter. And it kind of turned out that he was trying to make this like new philosophy. And while he claims he wasn't, he was definitely trying to build up the mythos of the Galapagos. But then once people did actually start coming over because of the work that he was doing, he didn't really like the reality of what that would be. So you had like Sweeney's family who felt they were genuinely there just to live better lives. And you have Ana de Armas coming in who wants to kind of like exploit the land. And her whole backstory is wild. And when you realize it's a real story and these people were real, it makes it kind of a degree more interesting, because she does seem like such a cartoonish character, but it totally makes sense that someone would do that and would have been able to pull it off back then. Very, is it Anna Sorkin, the one who just had her whole thing where she was pretending to be, she got arrested because she was pretending to be like super rich and famous? There's like a Netflix show about her. Is it Anna Sorkin?
Anna Delvey?
Yeah. Yeah, the one who was
Anna
pretending
Sorokin
to be...
is...
Sorokin.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, okay. So I wasn't far off. So it kind of has that vibe. But Ana de Armas is that character.
Interesting.
Yeah, some of it got a little annoying. It almost started hitting into the zones where I was like, I don't know if I can handle if it continues down this line too far. But it was an interesting movie. Like, it was better than I thought it was going to be. But I feel like the audience reacted way stronger to it than I expected.
Yeah, they reacted like it was an Avengers movie, and I'm like, these are real people here.
Yeah.
Like,
these are real
this is kind
people,
of bizarre. Yeah, I echo. It was funny because I don't know if we want to get into the story or not, what happened during the screening, but I'm sitting there. Amanda just happens because there's assigned seating with these movies, and Amanda's just 4 seats down. Yeah. And we're like, oh, what's up? Little did we know it was going to be for the craziest screening of our entire TIFF experience.
Yeah.
So I'll start with the movie was okay overall. I was kind of into it in the beginning, and then someone in our screening started to pass out / we thought they were dying. Like,
Yeah.
Amanda, I don't know if you want to
that was that moment.
It was kind of crazy.
It was crazy. It was really sad. Like, they were limp. It was like very concerning. And then it was just like, look behind me and some dude's laughing. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, this woman is literally being carried out of the building.
She looked like a hammock. Like, these two guys were just dragging her out. She looked gone. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was really, really concerning. And luckily there was a lot of doctors in the building that worked out. The person behind me was a doctor. And then it was just kind of interesting that we were like, man, people are being so disrespectful. And then like someone that I know was like, yeah, I had a crazy situation happen like this. They almost died at this. And I was like,
it was so much louder in a silent room though
really
than
loud.
when she's pitching. It was wild.
and I was like, damn. So I just kept being like, damn, I hope she's all right. I hope they handle it. It was very weird.
Like, this happened in Berlin. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Jeez.
And then someone that's pretty important at TIFF did the Q&A, and
Cameron
he was
Bailey,
like,
the CEO.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna name drop him, but yeah.
Yeah, we don't want to
guy.
get kicked out. We want to go.
Yeah, he pretty much came out and said, sorry for the inconvenience that we had to pause the movie. And I'm thinking, you could say thank you for your patience or something. And then little Ron Howard was like, are they all right? Like,
Yeah.
trying to figure
And
out
it's
the
like, to
person's
my
good.
understanding, they're going to be okay. And I found out we did not know at that time if they were going to be okay. We just
Yeah.
assumed. So I don't know. I feel like that was just lying to get the Q&A going.
And to tie that back into the movie, that was probably like our intermission. That was about halfway through, and the second half I wasn't as into.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Eden's okay. The true story itself is crazy.
Yeah,
for
it's
sure.
crazy.
I think me and Amanda kind of agreed if it was edited in a different way or just shaved probably 20 minutes off of it, it could have been one of my favorites of the festival. But
Absolutely.
it kind of just keeps dragging on after a while, and I was like,
Yeah,
I'm
it
not
hits
as
like
into
a
this.
big peak moment and it keeps going, but then like what happens after that does start getting interesting again, but it just feels like they couldn't keep the momentum going in the correct way, which was annoying.
Yeah, only 2 hours long, but I guess it feels like maybe it goes on a bit longer than that.
It felt like 2.5 for me at least.
Yeah.